Horses have been by our side for centuries. They've carried us, worked beside us, and given us everything they've got. But there's one aspect to these gentle giants that often goes unnoticed: pain. Whether visible or hidden, pain can shape a horse's behavior, interactions, and experiences with the world. Understanding how horses experience pain is crucial for their welfare. Historically, humans have misconstrued many equine behaviors, attributing them to stubbornness, defiance, or even malice. However, as scientific understanding of equine physiology and psychology has advanced, so too has our ability to recognize the subtle and apparent signs of discomfort in horses. Before delving into the complex structures and connections between behaviors and pain, we should first understand the concept of abnormal behaviors and what it consists of. Abnormal behaviors are any actions or behaviors that horses wouldn't typically do in the wild or a natural setting. In most cases, these behaviors present themselves due to stress, frustration, pain, and boredom, and can be placed into one of three categories: stereotypies, redirected behaviors, and altered eating and drinking habits. Stereotypies are repetitive and purposeless movements that often develop as coping mechanisms in response to stress, confinement, or discomfort. Some common examples of these behaviors include weaving, pacing or stall walking, head shaking, cribbing, and wood or metal chewing. The sudden onset of stereotypies may indicate a lack of mental stimulation, physical discomfort, or other causes. Once established, stereotypies can become ingrained, persisting throughout the horse's life even when the underlying cause is addressed. This is because these behaviors create a self-rewarding cycle. Cribbing, for instance, can release endorphins that temporarily relieve stress or pain. Although improving a horse's environment by increasing turnout time, social interactions, and mental stimulation can help reduce the severity or frequency of these behaviors, complete elimination is often difficult. Managing stereotypies effectively requires a multifaceted approach, prioritizing both physical and mental well-being. Redirected behaviors occur when a horse experiences stress or discomfort but cannot directly act on the source. Instead, the reaction is redirected elsewhere, often towards handlers, objects, or themselves. In the wild, horses use subtle signals, such as ear pinning or tail swishing, to communicate agitation or irritation. These warnings serve as preventative measures to avoid conflict and maintain social harmony. However, when these cues are ignored, the horse may escalate to more aggressive actions, such as biting or kicking out. A common example of redirected behavior occurs when a horse experiences discomfort while being tacked up, often associated with the girth or cinch, specifically lashes out at the handler. The issue is not pure aggression, but rather an instinctive reaction to discomfort. Recognizing and addressing the underlying cause, whether it be physical pain, saddle fit, or understimulation, can help prevent the escalation of these behaviors. Understanding these behavioral changes is essential for ensuring a horse's well-being. While some behaviors may seem minor or easily overlooked, they often serve as the warning signs of larger issues. By recognizing and addressing these behaviors in their early stages before they escalate, owners may be able to prevent more severe health and behavioral problems down the line. Recognizing that behaviors often stem from discomfort leads to the next critical step: understanding how to identify pain in horses. Pain in horses is a complex and often misunderstood subject for several reasons. The primary cause of this being that horses are prey animals who instinctively mask any signs of pain and discomfort. Furthermore, pain in equines is categorized into two types: situational and chronic pain. Immediate injuries such as a cut, pulled muscle, or discomfort from ill-fitting tack are examples of situational pain. It is usually temporary and will subside as the injury heals or painful stimuli is removed. On the other hand, chronic pain is persistent and may stem from long-term conditions such as laminitis, arthritis, or unresolved injuries. An understanding of these distinctions is crucial for identification. Horses experiencing severe long-term discomfort often develop a heightened sensitivity to future stimuli. Over time, this can lead to anticipatory responses, where a horse begins reacting to stimuli that should not cause them any pain. These learned responses can further complicate an assessment of whether a horse is actually in pain or simply expecting to be. Unlike people, horses cannot verbally express discomfort. Instead, they rely on body language and behavioral cues. This understanding is not common, however, as many horses that display behavioral patterns related to pain responses are given negative labels. Several studies have emphasized that many behaviors go unnoticed unless they are viewed as being difficult or disobedient. When these behaviors are misread and mishandled, horses may become more resigned in their behaviors, suppressing warning signs until they reach a breaking point. This suppression does not equate to a behavioral resolution. Instead, it increases the likelihood of dangerous, severe, and sudden reactions, as a threshold is eventually reached and pain and discomfort can no longer be hidden. Some of the most frequently identified behaviors are those we interpret as being aggressive in nature. However, these aggressive behaviors are not a result of the human emotions we place on them. Horses are not naturally aggressive. Their first instinct is to avoid any conflict or harm. When a horse kicks, bites, or displays any other seemingly aggressive behaviors, it is typically used to communicate their discomfort with the situation, regardless of if it involves horses, people, or any other external factors. Aggressive behaviors in domestic horses have occasionally been linked to chronic pain or poor environmental conditions. Aggression induced by pain and discomfort is not an act of defiance, it is communication. Often we see that problems start to arise when handlers fail to differentiate between behavioral issues and pain-related behaviors. Instead of seeking the primary cause, many horses are subject to punishments or harsh corrections. Horses that have learned that their way of communication is reacted to poorly may become more reactive and unpredictable in their behaviors. Beyond the more easily identifiable aggressive behaviors, pain can present itself through subtle changes in body language, mannerisms, and facial expressions. One valuable tool for identifying pain is the horse grimace scale, which assesses the severity of pain based on specific facial expressions. Some of the facial behaviors include pinned ears, where the ears are consistently turned backwards or pressed flat against the head rather than moving in response to stimuli, strained nostrils, which appear to be flared without any other signs of exertion, orbital tightening, sometimes characterized by squinting or a partially closed eye, and tension in the lips and chin. Identification of pain in equines relies on a combination of structured methods of assessment, careful observation, and an understanding of equine behavior. Because pain can be presented in subtle and varied ways, from small shifts in facial expressions to changes in interactions, posture, and overall behavior, it's important to remain attentive to even the smallest of changes. Tools like the horse grimace scale help to standardize this process, offering guidelines to detect discomfort that may otherwise go unnoticed. Continued attention to and awareness of these indicators plays an important role in improving the recognition of pain and discomfort in equines. With the identification of physical discomfort in horses, it becomes essential to evaluate all the tools available to support their well-being and address the root cause of any issues. One such modality that has been increasingly used within the equine industry is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. This non-invasive therapy makes use of low-frequency electromagnetic pulses in order to enhance circulation, stimulate cell repair, and reduce inflammation, all of which are vital to the healing process. While PEMF therapies such as MagnaWave are not a cure-all, it can be an effective method of addressing pain in horses. The therapy involves placing coils or loops on various parts of the horse's body. These coils deliver electromagnetic pulses that penetrate deep into the tissue, reaching up to 16 inches depending on the machine and settings. In order to further understand how PEMF works, it helps to know a bit about how cells function. Each cell has a membrane that regulates what enters, like oxygen and nutrients, and what exits. This process relies on the cell maintaining a healthy electrical charge. When a horse has an injury or is experiencing inflammation, that charge can be disrupted, making it harder for the cell to function efficiently. Nutrients struggle to enter, waste builds up, and the healing process slows. PEMF therapy restores this electrical charge through electromagnetic pulses. These pulses cause the cells to slightly expand and contract, improving membrane efficiency. On a larger scale, PEMF aids the horse's natural healing process in a variety of ways. Most notably is an increase in blood flow. Better circulation throughout the body provides essential nutrients and oxygenation to areas of the body that are sore, injured, or healing. Beyond physical healing, PEMF therapy, like other forms of bodywork, can also promote the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers. For horses undergoing stress or chronic discomfort, this release may help improve their mood and reduce pain perception. A more relaxed, content horse is often easier to handle and treat. For these reasons, PEMF therapy can be a beneficial tool when involved with a horse that experiences chronic pain or discomfort. One of its greatest strengths is that it does require the exact source of discomfort to be located in order to be effective. Because the therapy works by improving overall cellular function, it aids recovery in multiple areas at once. This whole-body approach makes PEMF an excellent option for complex or unresolved discomfort. In cases involving pain-related behaviors, the use of PEMF therapies can be a turning point. The therapy helps the horse's body relearn what it feels like to be pain-free, which can be especially impactful in horses that have been living with chronic discomfort for prolonged periods. By relieving tensions and reducing pain, the horse can begin to move and behave more normally again. However, it is important to note that behavioral issues caused by pain don't always disappear the moment pain is relieved. Many horses develop learned behaviors as a result of their long-term discomfort. In these cases, PEMF should be paired with consistent retraining and handling, along with the guidance of an experienced trainer or behaviorist. Additionally, PEMF therapy should not be used in isolation. It is not a substitute for veterinary care, diagnostics, and other essential equine management. While it cannot replace necessary care or fix ingrained behaviors on its own, it plays a valuable role in supporting the healing process, enhancing equine comfort, and contributing to overall behavioral improvement. Once the source of a horse's discomfort has been identified and properly addressed, whether through veterinary treatment, changes in equine management, or therapies such as PEMF, steps towards positive behavioral changes can begin. Pain may have been the origin of the behavior, but once it becomes ingrained, it can persist long after the physical aspect has been treated. That's why careful, gradual retraining is so important for the safety of both horse and handler. Effective retraining often begins with re-establishing trust. In these cases, the goal is not to correct or punish the behavior through force, but to help the horse form new, positive associations. This might involve offering praise or rewards such as treats for the desired behaviors. Techniques such as positive reinforcement and shaping are especially useful. Positive reinforcement, rewarding desired behaviors, can build confidence and willingness, especially in horses that are anxious or hesitant about certain situations. Shaping, which rewards incremental steps towards a behavior, is effective for breaking large goals into smaller, more achievable milestones. Progress may not be linear. A horse may show improvement for weeks and then suddenly regress. These moments don't necessarily mean that the process has failed. They're likely just the horse testing out whether the new ways of interaction are reliable and safe. Patience when handling and working with horses during these moments is crucial. When working with horses, especially those that have developed learned responses or abnormal behaviors, handlers must maintain realistic expectations. Some behaviors that have developed over months or years may take a significant amount of time to resolve. In certain cases, these behaviors may never completely disappear. However, they can become manageable, safer, and less extreme. Their priority should always be ensuring the horse's comfort, confidence, and ability to safely function in their environment. With empathy, consistency, and the right tools, even deeply ingrained behaviors can shift, creating safer, closer partnerships between horse and handler.